Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're going to take a look at a Japanese band that we have never looked at before in the rock and metal world, Ningen Isu. This has come up as a request a few times from the same person, actually. And it turns out they do have kind of a storied history. They started in 1987 and were putting out albums right from the start, but they didn't really get super popular until the 2010s. And they had a very popular video that they put out in 2019, which has 16 million views, for their song Heartless Scat. And that's what we're going to look at today. The thing that actually helped them achieve a higher popularity was playing Ozfest in 2013. They are heavily influenced by Black Sabbath and other Western bands, including Led Zeppelin and King Crimson, and Kiss. The guitar player, Wajima, he's influenced by Robert Fripp and Tony Iommi and Jimmy Page and Ace Frehley and Michael Schenker of Scorpions. The guitarist, Wajima, and the bassist, Kenichi Suzuki, looks to be original members. And then they've swapped out drummers from time to time, but the one with them now has been with them for 20 years. So pretty stable lineup.
Yeah.
Apparently they use a lot of Japanese classical literature as inspiration for their lyrics, but they also look to such writers as Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft and Friedrich Nietzsche. So, and they get into Buddhism and samurai culture. So, I mean, it sounds like a band that would interest us, for sure. We've been getting a polite request for a while on this one, and I thought it was time. We do like a lot of Japanese bands that we've heard. But this one is brand new to us. Adrian, any thoughts ahead before we take a look at this?
Well, it sounds like this is going to be a good one.
Well, that's the hope anyway. We'll see.
Well, just the way you describe the band and everything, I mean, It sounds pretty interesting. So
I agree. All right, let's go ahead and check this out, and we will discuss it afterwards.
All right.
寂しくしくじりばかりのこの私に満ち足りる日は来るだろうか夢の叶う日あるだろうか仏様シャバタバティオシャバタバティオシャバタバティオババッポッポシャバタバティオシャバタバティオシャバタバティオババッポッポ私の命に光を私の明日に光を全ての命に光を全ての明日に光を
Classic chord progression, complete with the SG, which is a classic guitar. It's Tony Iommi's favorite, of course.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I noticed that it was an SG. I didn't realize it was Tony Iommi's favorite, but that doesn't surprise me now that you mention it. You know, that makes perfect sense, actually.
It's what he plays most of the time, I think.
I liked the philosophical bent that the lyrics had, where he's saying, well, I'm failing in life. These things are not going well for me. And then kind of looking to the light, looking to Buddha, looking to whatever else. And just also to philosophy, like, well, what does this mean? How, what lessons from the past can I pull to help myself today? Type of a thing is what I thought I saw in those lyrics for the most part. And that would jibe with what we saw earlier, their influences.
Yeah, I mean, the song is full of great riffs and very well written. The middle part of the song is quite cool, They actually, I guess there are a few different middle parts of the song. And, I just love the sound of this band. These guys are great.
Yeah. Well, I liked the occasional breaks where they go, cha-da-dum, 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 into something else. I like breaks like that, things that just kind of break up the song and kind of put you into a new area of the song. They did have a few different, I don't know if you'd call them movements, but just different parts to the songs that they would occasionally revisit. But yeah, it was kind of a journey type song. I mean, in other words, you were going somewhere listening to that one, maybe, I don't know, trying to achieve a certain enlightenment to get out of his woes, perhaps. I liked the little sing-along shabba-dabba-dia in there, which, it's one of those phrases that reminds me, like we see with The Warning, they have a phrase that you can easily say, even if you don't understand the language. And that is certainly one, shabba-dabba-dia. That's right up there with na-na-na-na-na-na, or dime, que más quieres, or whatever, those sorts of things. Yeah, so I liked that. Yeah, it did have a very 80s sound to it for me, which would make sense since that is their origin as a band, so they can lay claim to that legitimately. Some of those chord structures, I mean, you could have heard them even in rock and roll from that time period. You know, even some of the hair metal bands, like I could hear that maybe from Rat or from Raven. I don't know if you remember Raven. We had a Raven album in the house at one point. All for One, I think it was. But just bands kind of like that, you know, where you start the you know, that kind of. Yeah, beautiful. So I enjoyed that sound. And they look a little unassuming. You wouldn't look at these guys, you know, out in public and say, well, that's a heavy metal band, or that's a, you know,
Right.
in the 80s.
You know, yeah, I was going to say something, actually. These guys seem to use another type of gap. You know, we've talked about the gap with some bands. Yeah, they're kind of, the way they're dressed up, it's kind of like, it looks like a spiritual master, maybe an executioner, and Elvis for a drummer. All doing great metal, though.
Those are great.
Awesome.
Yeah, those are good observations, Adrian. I think I have to agree with you on those. Yes, the Elvis drummer, the executioner bassist, and then, I don't know, the wise man guitar player or something, you know. You looked like somebody you'd go ask advice of, you know, and he'd give you good advice. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed that. That was really cool. Yep, 16 million views on this one, so good for them on that. They have a number of albums out if you're interested in checking them out. Fantastic. I think we'll subscribe to the channel you know, just to see if anything else comes down the wire in the near future. But if anybody has thoughts about this particular song, let us know. And if you have suggestions for other songs by this band, let us know about those as well, because we're curious. I think it'd be nice to hear something else from them. It wouldn't surprise me at all either if some of the other bands that we listen to are very familiar with them. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if, like, the Love Bites, you know, Midori and Miyako know who they are. Even though it's a slightly different type of music, it's still pretty much in the wheelhouse.
Very true.
Yeah. So I would be interested to know how that hit our viewers. So give us your thoughts and, you know, any experiences you have with the band. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. All right. Thanks so much for joining us on this, and we will catch you on the next one. All right. Take care, folks.
See you all later.